boom, 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 after. Week 5 in the books, week 6 coming, the Smite Pro League. There it is, baby. It's like month 2 of quarantine. I've got this beautiful, nothing is beautiful, except for my picks last week. These were Ronald Pwant. Listen, the Renegades did not beat Radiance. Or excuse me, the Renegades did beat Radiance, and that surprised everyone. I mean, hell, 94%, just like that. Bang, easy. So, obviously, I got that wrong. The Knights beat United, which I think was kind of a stretch, but whatever. And Sanguine didn't pull through, which, you know, it happens. They should have won, in all honesty. If you guys watched the sets, Sanguine should have won, but... Week 6, let's get to it. Ooh, wow. Friday is going to be hot. Friday has been kind of a snooze fest lately in the SPL. Relatively speaking, I think that you know, the SPL has actually been one of the better years this year. A lot of fun. Everybody could beat Obey, but almost everybody could beat almost everybody. They're getting a new jungler. We'll see what happens. United versus Rival. Rival has looked better and better and better. United, since switching from Ionic to Genetics, has honestly been looking better. I kind of wish they weren't. I liked Ionic, but, you know, oh well. They are looking better. Rival, on the other hand, is looking like one of the top teams here. I do, at the end of the day, I do think United can take this from Team Rival. I absolutely do think that this is possible. You know, when we look at the jungle, I think is really where I want to be. Ooh, they haven't updated this yet. That's probably an issue. I've just always enjoyed Scream and over Sam for Soccer, and I think that if Scream is able to get off to one of his starts that we're used to seeing, that this winds up being E-United territory. The default answer is Team Rival. This is absolutely who I think a lot of people are expecting to win. Yeah. I have considered myself an E-United fan this year. This is much closer than people would lead you to believe. And I am going to go for the stretch of saying E-United over Team Rival. But when Fino and the boys wind up taking it here, I'm not overly, like, surprised. You know what I'm saying? Where are we here? This is what I'm looking for. You know, when Fino and the squad take this, this is the default team that's going to win. I think it is more of an uphill battle for E-United to take this, but I think it's an uphill battle that we can see them do. I really do expect this to be a matchup that we can see in E-United's favor. I think it'll come down to, again, I say the jungle. Sam for Soccer has been the best jungler this year, in my opinion, so it's tough for Scream to do that. Maybe I take that back. Maybe it's going to be elsewhere. Maybe it's going to be Herwin has been performing very, very well, and variety's always variety. So maybe it's about centering the game around Herwin, playing more of the Janus and playing more to his play style, which honestly, Herwin's play style kind of is a United's play style. It's very interesting. I look at this United team and I don't think a lot of the teams I think belong to somebody. Weekend's team, Polar Bear Mike's team, Aurora's team. Not downplaying what the other guys bring to the squad, but there's a de facto sort of like, whether it's leader or head guy in charge. There's just like a de facto. With the United, I don't really have that, and I like that, but I don't like that at times. I think that's what might allow them to beat a very focused team like Team Rival. But it also might limit their upswing here. So right now, they're sitting at 7 and 8. That's games played. Matches this is the wrong terminology. Your actual games played. Obey is what, 0 and 7. and they've lost every single game in those sets, which means they have lost 14, 2 out of 3, right? Up next, we've got Ghost Gaming versus Knights. This is not Ghost Gaming, this is Radiance. Radiance over Knights is the take here. I think that the Knights are sure, yeah. And Radiance actually kind of had a fall from grace last week, losing out to the Renegades. The Renegades are definitely a step behind Radiance. That's tough, looking at something and saying something else. Definitely are a step behind Radiance, but rose to the occasion. Knights are absolutely a team that could rise to the occasion, so to speak, but I just don't see Radiance losing 2 weeks in a row. Worth noting, they did pick it up versus Sanguine, sure, but again, that Sanguine set was close. So with that in mind, Knights should actually be the favorite coming in here, but realistically, I don't think Radiance allows themselves to have a week like week 5 again. They've been dominant. It wasn't close week 1. It wasn't close week 2. Obey doesn't count. When we look at week number 3, it wasn't close at all. Week 4, Rival take it, and they're mortal. And week 5 was a bad week. I don't, even despite the fact that they got the victory here, I don't think that they allow themselves to be like, this is the number 1 team and they're going to be there. They might tussle with Rival a little bit, but this will be the top. I don't think, there's been slight conversation about perhaps we overvalued Radiance at the beginning of the year. I don't necessarily think that's true, although strength of schedule does come into play. At the end of the day, I do think Radiance is going to be one of the top teams. Top 3 is what I'll say here, conservatively. Top 2, perhaps more aggressively. And with that in mind, I take Radiance here. If the Knights get this victory, though, because if the Knights get this victory, I start thinking about Radiance a little bit differently. Sanguine over Obey is easy. Space Station over Renegades is also easy. I think that Space Station is just better. Space Station Renegades, like, they seem like similar teams, I think, because Space Station got off to an awkward start. But this is a much better team than the Renegades. The Renegades are going to trend up and continue to get good, but this is unfortunately a week where I think they cop 2 losses, both to Rival and Space Station. I said this a couple of weeks ago, but Space Station was my pick. Space Station Gaming is the Raffer and everybody team, right? Space Station Gaming was my pick to win the World Championship last year with a different Hunter. Most people would argue Vote is better than Funball. I won't. But I won't fight the idea. And so I just think that Space Station is hand over fist. Is that the saying? Hand over foot, hand over fist. Space Station is going to take Renegade to town. Lasbra is the guy on Renegades. All of these players have stood up. All of these players have won games. All of these players have been strong enough to carry the team to a victory. But the player that stands up when we see set victories is Lasbra. Lasbra and Barracuda have ascended to be the 2 guys on this squad. And when I look at them, that's who needs to perform here against Space Station. And that's a tough task. Again, Cherio is one of the more exploitable players. The jungle you don't necessarily play head to head. Space Station Gaming has identified what style worked for them last week, which was their kind of overall issue. And now I don't think we're going to see the same style either. I think we're going to see Space Station try something different game 1, and then if it doesn't work, default back to Cherio late game hyper carries, dive in, Capri comp. But we'll see how that all goes. For this matchup, I think they take it above Renegades. Radiance versus E United. So again, this is very similar to E United versus Team Rival in that statistically, Rival and Radiance are the same team. Like they have won the same amount of games. I think Rival is a little bit more realistic of a win than Radiance. I think that has a lot to do with the right side of the map. Like I said, admittedly, Sam for Soccer is one of the strongest players in the game right now, but Variety is still absolutely crushing it. Fino looks great, but Variety has been playing lights out, even in the games that his team loses. So I see this matchup, and this is the one that Ghost Gaming is a step above Rival at the moment, in my opinion. I think that these teams are... I mean, this is just a different caliber of roster when I look at this. I think that Cyclone Spin vies for, man, I don't know. Panda Cat winds up being one of my favorite carries that people aren't talking about. People generally talk about Barra and Zap and Cyclone. We hear these names every year. But Polar Bear Mike Panda Cat gets maybe not the Wowie treatment where ain't nobody talk about Wowie no matter what he's doing. Rest in peace, Wowie, man. I love that kid. But nobody seems to give him credit. Panda Cat's not that level, but people forget about him. Benji, out of his mind. Big Man Tings is probably the weak point on this team and has just defaulted to playing his selections and crushing it. So if your weak point on the team is absolutely destroying it, I don't mean weak point, I mean weakest point, because there's inevitably going to be, there's 5 players. If you're fourth to rank them, there's going to be a number 5. BMT is number 5 on this team, straight up. But he would be number 1 on a lot of other teams. And that just, Ghost is on another level right now. So Radiance is on another level right now. This is really doing high a disservice, man. And I get that there's maybe there's limitations. This is a lot of art that needs to go into things, but this needs to be a priority in my opinion. Rival over Renegades is how this one's going to go. Listen, I took the stretch road here for United over Rival, and admittedly that might go awry. I won't do it twice. Sorry. Barra and the boys had a great week last week. They won both of their sets, one of which was against Radiance, which is the better team in the league. One of which was Obey, but week 6, I just don't see them being able to do it twice. If they do get a win this week, it'll be against Space Station, not Rival. But I just don't see that happening. This one is a fun week to watch. Unfortunately, Obey plays Sanguine. I would like to watch Obey play, Renegades, United, Knights. But oh well. We get to see Vamos actually. I don't know what the word is for murder or serial kill, but that'd be pretty cool. Week 6, so my stretch vote is definitely United over Team Rival. I think if you're absolutely, if you're going to get mad at me in the comments for steering you wrong, pick Team Rival over United in game number 1. This is my stretch goal. This is I give myself 1 a week where I vote with my heart, so to speak. Radiance over Knights is going to be a fun to watch game, but probably a 2-0. Sanguine over Bay. The Space Station over Renegades will be... Watching Space Station is one of the more fun teams right now, and I'll do a separate video on that, but Space Station is going to take it over Renegades. It might be close, though. Watching Renegades slowly improve is fun, and Space Station is a team that hasn't really figured out their exact identity just yet, so that is something that's going to be taking a look at. Radiance will beat E United, but how close that is, that's a big one on May 10th. How close that match is determines how I feel about E United going forward. Will I make this vote again? Depends on this match. Not the outcome. I expect Radiance to win this one. But how badly do they beat E United is the question I'm asking myself. Because I looked at this E United team and I held them in high regard. I still do. I look at what they're able to bring to the table with, again, Guardian, the support is now genetics. But I look at Scream, Hurry, Variety, and that's a team that I think can do big things. How they do against Radiance will be a litmus test of how I feel about it. Rival, Renegades, easy peasy. Rivals the top team. GG. I think everybody's bracket has been busted at least once, but that's that. We stream every day. Make sure to watch it. We play Smite. We talk Smite. We play other stuff too. Speaking of other stuff, that's what I'm looking for. Let me know what other stuff y'all trying to see. I appreciate the support, and I'll catch you next time. Peace. And friends. I don't know. Be good to each other, I guess, if they deserve it.